Hello, welcome to Clowning Around again with me, Stroud, and lovely listeners and lovely good people. I hope, as ever, you have found some time to laugh, think, and play because you know it makes you feel better. And oh, did I say, lovely people, that you were in for a treat with all the brilliant people I was talking to? Well, let me just let you know. You are indeed in for a treat because this splendid woman is, well, she's splendid. And so without further ado, this week, lovely listeners, lovely viewers of Clowning Around again, we are going to be clowning around. Do 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 do. Boo! Ba 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 da ba ba da ba ba do 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 do. Ba 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 da ba ba da ba. Boo! Ba 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 da ba ba da ba. Bravery with the fabulous Maleena Pone. Hello. I don't think you've. I love the fact that.
This is, oh my God, thank you for bringing me into your world just now. Hi. I felt like, do I join in? What do I do? Thanks.
I mean, all are available. You see, it's funny because when I did Clowning Around, the first series, as I like to refer, it was just auditory, right? There was no visuals. And then when I started doing Clowning Around again, I suddenly was like, oh, everyone's going to see me literally singing a bit like an idiot. But it makes me really happy. And it seems particularly pertinent because today we're clowning around bravery. I don't think it's very brave. It's just that I'm, quite happy doing that. But I'm very glad it made you laugh. So that's good. Welcome to the pod.
I would argue that being able to allow yourself to be seen being playful and silly and a bit of a clown is very brave in this current climate and in the world, especially the world that I'm from. So the idea that you can just let your guard down and do whatever and say whatever just came out of your mouth just then is radical for me. So thank you. Appreciate it.
You are very welcome. You're very welcome. When you say I'm a bit of a clown, I'm actually a fully blown clown,
You're right. You're about as clown as they get. I know.
Yes. Yeah. I will happily own that. And obviously, dear listeners, you can go and read my book, Lessons from a Clown, if you want to find out what that really means. We're not going into that because this podcast is not about me. No, today it is about bravery. Now, all of my regular listeners and viewers, they always like to know where in the world are my guests. So where are you today?
Today, I am in sunny Southampton. I wanted to say somewhere way more tropical because when you met me, I think I was somewhere on the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica, the first conversation we had. I'm not there today.
No.
I'm still by a body of water. There are definitely plants out there, but I'm in Southampton in England.
It is true. It is a definite sort of different background because when we first met, they had palm trees. You basically looked like you were in sort of some beautiful wooden kind of cabin.
Oh, I was in the jungle. I was fully in the jungle. Yeah.
And now you're in Southampton.
In a very different kind of jungle with different creatures and wildlife. And it's fine. It's great. I can deal with it.
And a football club that likes sending people binoculars. That's a football joke. If you don't like football, you won't get it. But we'll just carry on from that. So, obviously, if you haven't listened to it, Southampton have just been busted for spying on Middlesbrough because they actually sent somebody up to Middlesbrough with binoculars to watch them do their training. No doubt to report back going, the goalkeeper is practicing saving penalties. Who knows why they thought that was a good idea? But they did, and they've now been kicked out. Well, today is the appeal. Right now, as we're recording this live, that is what's going to happen. So Southampton are not in the playoffs and the richest game in football. And obviously, knowing what a deep football fan you are, and even though that's the town you're in, this is new knowledge to you.
This is new knowledge to me. That's fascinating. Thank you for telling me something about my own hometown that I had zero interest in knowing about. But now I know. And I know that all they had was binoculars. At least let them at least have had a camera in the binoculars to have documented what was going on, because then it would impress me.
I think they had binoculars and literally an iPhone, and then they caught this guy in the trees watching from the golf course. That was the true story, but that is not why we're here. This is not a football podcast. Although, of course, as regular listeners will know, I will always manage to get in a bit of football because I'm a football geek. What can I do?
I've definitely spent some time in trees looking and filming at stuff, filming stuff. So there is, I can relate on some levels.
I mean, this is why she is a established, very successful film person, because somehow she's managed to take a narrative about a sport that she doesn't give a shit about and somehow link it back into her actual work, which is brilliant. Now, before lovely listeners and viewers, you get to discover more about her, as you know, I always like to start with a series of questions. which every regular listener will know that they are. Are you ready?
Yes, I'll ever be.
Okay. Now, we know that you've sat on many panels recently, so I need you to picture the scene, if you'd be so kind. There you are, up on stage. There's a chair and a nice comfy sofa. You're on the sofa. The lights have changed. Some smoke is billowing behind you. I don't know why there's smoke, but there is today.
There's
And there's
never
smoke
smoke, though.
coming there. And then the small host comes up on stage with a little clipboard. That's me. Hello! And then the lights change again. The audience giving a massive round of applause. We're all like, yay, okay, Chris. And then I get by my producer, can you just hurry up and ask the bloody first question? And okay, I'm on it. Question number 1. What does bravery mean to you?
Wow, what a special question. I'm trying to imagine the space and the setting and how little you are and how little your little notepad is, so you can write all this down, because this is a very short answer. Being brave has become synonymous with staying in a relationship with the truth. That's what being brave means to me. So not the polished version of your truth or anyone else's truth, not the exposing truth. I think being brave is knowing and feeling something and being able to act on it. And that's sort of that's my compass around bravery at the moment. It's kind of like the very quiet acts of bravery that define whether or not I'm in alignment with my choices and my decisions, being brave enough to justify that statement.
I love that. And there's something, isn't there, just so beautiful about, in a world at the moment which truth and AI and all of the different narratives that everybody wants to say, and facts and fact checking and who has the truth, and what does that even mean anymore in this very complicated world that we're in 2026. I think the way that you've just defined bravery being that beautiful moment of, coming in line with self and all of self really sits very true with me. And I think there is definitely something to be said about being brave enough to take the space to actually work out what that looks like and feels like for you. So yeah, that was a very good, quite profound answer to question number 1. We've
We
got more.
definitely went from one gear to the next, didn't we?
We went straight there, straight gear. Yeah. Do you see what we've done though? We've changed gears. It's like we're storytellers. It's like we know what we're doing. So right, question number 2. The audience were loving it. They're giving you a very polite British round of applause to that one. They were like, "Ooh, yes, that's
Wow.
good. Tell me more. Tell me more. Don't worry, I've got more questions, lovely." Question number 2. What song is Bravery?
So the one that keeps circulating every time is it by Sia? I'm Unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
That song, and it's
Yeah.
because that song kind of kept appearing loads and loads of times around some of my bravest moments in the last 6 months. And I do think bravery is that thing. It's again, it's like being fearless, right? It's pushing past the fear. It's not stopping, even if you feel you should or you could, or maybe it's easier to. And I think that would be the song for me, that every time I think, okay, am I being brave? And a lot
I'm
of people,
unstoppable.
yeah,
Na, 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 na.
I need to
I'm
check
a
who it's
breaking heart.
by. Hold
Yeah.
on,
No,
just
it
in
definitely
case.
is Sia. Definitely is Sia.
Okay.
I'm
Yes, it is.
unstoppable. Yeah. I love how you're like, no, it definitely is. You're like, no, but I got
No,
to fact
because I
check.
don't want I fact check. I got to fact check. Or, I think we're really blessed at the moment to have like a lot of, have you noticed how the music industry is also, or musicians are kind of coming out with like really empowered messaging in their music
Mm-hmm.
now? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there are so many songs that, or anything that kind of, and I like really cinematic sounds as well. So any kind of cinematic score as well is like, oh, if it feels like strong and brave,
I
I
like that.
often put that on when I'm working or I'm writing something where I need to like get into it.
Get into the zone. Get into the zone. Well, I will make sure that that Sia song is added to the Spotify playlist of Planning Around Again. So thank you for that. Everyone, when that comes on, people will be driving along, they will be singing and be like, oh, yes, and be brave. Very good. Question number 3. If bravery was a country, what country would it be?
Ooh, okay. Well, I've already spoken about my roots here in the UK, being born and
Mm-hmm.
bred in Southampton, my origin story. But my country of origin, my family of origin is we're Indian, we're Punjabi. So I think if bravery was a country, it would probably be India for me, because it's kind of that mixture of chaos and color and contradiction. I think for me, being in a space like that, whenever I've gone there and you see so many different worlds all kind of colliding all at once. And I think what's interesting about going to that country at a young age, right? I recognized it was very different to my life or my kind of way of being here in the UK. The polarity that can exist side by side is so extreme in India that you have to be able to accept this, that there is a way and there is a organized chaos that people somehow survive and also thrive in. And it was just this thing where I kind of had to accept really early on that like life isn't fair. So many different things happen all at the same time. There are acts of bravery. Like, do you know how many people can be gripping onto one motorcycle in India? Like, you can have a family of 10 on one bike. That's pretty brave.
That definitely is pretty brave,
But it's just wild. And I think just even to survive it, you have to expand. You have to be brave. You have to
Mm,
be willing to A, accept your lot, and B, figure out every day what you're going to do about it. So
mm,
I think India is the kind of country where I just think, yeah, it's a weird thing because I think all countries have a similar kind of example of that within them, but that's what I would speak to. And I think even just the story of how India as a reference point for so many of us seeking and all the things that
mm,
have been born there.
mm,
Yeah, it's one of the most difficult places in the world to be a woman. There's extreme poverty, there's also extreme wealth, but there's something about it that makes me feel like, when I was traveling alone in my early 20s and I went to India for the first time, a lot of people went like, "Oh, you're really brave." So that in
mm.
itself is like
Yeah,
to exist in a place that requires you to be brave is also like, I guess what I would say to that question.
I like it. I like it a lot. Question number 4. Who makes you think of bravery? Who makes you think of bravery?
Women who are brave enough to choose themselves. Yeah, women. Most of the women in my life now who are choosing their own path, who are being quite defiant in how they do that. And I guess women who choose themselves even when they know it's going to disrupt everything. That feels like a very important example to me. It's the women that I'm like, wow, you didn't have to do that, but you did. I think that is when I really see someone and I think, wow, that was brave because you
Mm,
didn't know how that was going to work out. And you didn't. You were happy to live in a contrast of convenience.
mm.
And convenient can be emotional convenience, it can be financial convenience, it can
Yeah.
be, I think a lot of the things that we don't have the courage to do, or don't have the bravery to do. And I think that the interplay between courage and bravery is very like interesting to me. But I think any woman that is defying certain odds and not ones that I think there are a lot of people that will fight their way out of something because there is no other choice, but there are a lot of women that are just choosing it because they know
Mm.
that that is the right thing to do,
I love
and
that. And
those are
I
the
think it's,
women.
yeah, and it's so powerful, isn't it? And you and I have both, been lucky enough to coach awesome humans, not, men and women. But I think you're right. There's something in the world that we're still living in at the moment when you see women doing things to come back to your earlier thing, in a truthful way to themselves, and in a way because it's like they just have to, and they shift
Mhm.
something and the energy changes. There is something deeply brave about that because the system is still very much not set up for women to do that. So, I am there and I hear you, and the audience are applauding because we've got an audience that loving everything that you're saying. They're like,
And they're
whoop, whoop,
simplifying it. Obviously, there's so much
right.
systemic and structural issues
I
with that.
mean, there
But,
is.
for me, I think I resonate, I'm drawn towards, I try to be the
Mm,
type of person that does the thing that's hard, even if I could choose the thing that's easy, because I
of course.
know what's on the other side of that brave decision. And
Yep.
I'm not saying on the other side of it, it feels easier and it feels nicer, but there is a quiet trust that I build in myself every time I do that. And if
Mm,
you can trust yourself, that's really honestly when I think you are unstoppable. It's when we lose
mm,
trust, it's when we lose faith, it's when we lose belief in ourselves. And I think
mm,
sadly, the world will disappoint you. Many people will not meet your expectations. It's not a fair place. And we're learning more and more of that. You talked earlier on about, 2026, the truth being revealed. A lot of us have either inherently known the truth, but never known how to prove the truth of the world and
Hmm.
the status quo and the way it exists. Creatively, we find ways to speak out and express ourselves and do what we can. And I think now we're being presented with so much polarity that, or things that are polarizing that will make us question and doubt everything we ever thought we believed in because that's been our convenient truth. And if it all links back, it's like in its simplest form, it's radical and it's brave to be a critical thinker and to say, hold on a minute, do I want to do that because it's the easier thing to do? Have I acknowledged that, of course, it's going to be easy because that's what the system wants me to do? They're
Right.
making it like, the path to least resistance is the
Hmm.
thing that you are being coded to do. But if you truly understand, the counter to that is small acts of bravery that sets you apart from everyone else around you, but also invites you to feel more safety in yourself than anything that is not perceivably brave will do.
Yeah.
That I know for sure. And no one teaches you how to be brave. No one shows you how to be brave. I could talk to you about many examples of bravery. And at the same time, when ourselves are experiencing the feeling of like, I'm going to be brave, I'm going to be bold, I'm going to be courageous, it rarely ever feels like that. Like, it doesn't feel like that's what you're doing.
No, not at all. Not at
But
all.
thankfully,
You
we
do.
have mirrors like you and I and other people around us in the
Yep.
world that will occasionally applaud and nod and say, yeah, that was fucking brave. Well done.
Exactly, right? And that's the thing, right? Because sometimes you do the stuff and you are a filmmaker, as everybody's going to get to know, you help, tell stories, and inspire other women to tell their stories. You're also telling your own stories and, just had your film on Channel 4, which we'll come to, no doubt. And if we don't, it'll be in the notes so everybody will know. So there you go, dropping that as a thing. But it's that thing of like, you're doing it because you have to do it because it's part of the truth. Whereas everyone will be like, oh my gosh, you're so brave. You made a film about you and your own
Yeah.
family life. Ah. And it's like, no, but I don't know if you understand that's what I have to do. I don't know who speaks to you like that with that voice, though.
It's like,
That was my favourite voice I've ever come up with. Oh, you're so brave. I don't know. Maybe that's the voice that I have when people go, oh, Em, you're so brave. You're doing comedy again. Yeah, it's what I'm trying to do. And so for
yeah.
me, it doesn't necessarily feel brave, but I
Mm.
get it from that external lens. Sometimes and we both tell our own stories in our own unique different ways, but it's that thing, isn't it, of going, by doing what it is that we have to do, which goes back to your original thing on truth, therefore we can then show up and do things which others might perceive as brave, and once in a blue moon somebody will go, that is quite brave what you're doing there. That's quite a brave thing to do. And it's not that I don't think you need the recognition from others most of the time, but I think just that nod and then just taking that beat of going, oh yeah, and then just carrying on.
I know. And I think it's an operating system, right? Because I think if we're
Right.
coding our operating system, and this is why
Mm.
coaching and therapy and systems and practices and rituals and whatever it is that you're doing in your life to build or get 1% better every day, or whatever that thing is that you're
Mm.
doing, to say, okay, I want autonomy, I want freedom, I want integrity, I want to live a creative life, I want to live a meaningful life, I want to be in purpose, I want to be
Mhm.
on purpose. Um, if you're doing all those things, you cannot fail to appear brave to a majority of the world that are not doing those things because it's not been encouraged. Because to be
Yeah.
brave means you're going against a kind of a construct that is what most people understand and
Yeah.
abide by. So to truly be brave enough to accept, firstly, I can accept things as they are, but there's and then say, but I feel like I want to do things differently. And if your operating system is being coded and trained to do things differently, the outcome, I think, will inherently be brave because
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah, completely. And it doesn't and I think it's always really important to say, because I'm really aware I've got listeners around the world, right? And not everybody is going to want to make films or do comedy or write
Sure.
books or become an entrepreneur. Being brave can be that you are the person that chooses to smile at everybody that you meet in a
Right.
coffee shop.
Right.
That it doesn't necessarily have to be some big outcome that the world sees you, and then bravery and success here or bravery and output are not the same things. It's
Yeah.
about making that conscious decision of being brave to choose to connect with self and then to connect with others in whatever way is the right way for you, which comes back
Hmm.
to the truth point, which is very good. And now the producer's in my ear going, you've got to move on to the next question because otherwise you two will go off on tangents. I'm like, well, go away, producer. It's my podcast. I can do whatever I like. Question number, no one cares. If bravery was an object, what object would it be?
A mirror.
And we'll leave that there because then we're on time. So that's very good. We don't
Okay.
need to discuss that. That was brilliant. Look how she was like that. A mirror. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, that's good. You can just have a moment. We'll just have a moment being profound about a mirror. Excellent. We've done
But
that.
I so want to explain the metaphor, but you'll get it.
Yeah, you'll get it.
Facing
Everybody
yourself
gets it.
without a distortion,
Exactly.
that's where
Everybody
real
gets
freedom
it.
starts. Let's just keep it
Everyone
moving.
keep it moving. Okay. Question number, how do you play?
How do I play? I think my favorite way to play is just like trying a different energy on without it needing to mean anything.
I love that. That's such a lovely, beautiful way of describing, I think, what play can feel like, and it's
And in
just a
so
different
many
thing.
different ways, because like I don't think I actually play a specific thing. But the things that I try where I'm like, no, I just want to do this for play. Like I'm just having a good time. It
I
doesn't have
love
to
that.
mean
It's
anything.
like, you can hear it as well. It's just like, right, it's play time now. It's play. It's not just once, it's twice. I'm a high achiever. It's play time. This is what I'm doing. It's play time.
You know what? I know. And on the high achieving stuff, right? I
Yeah.
think learning that high standards, like
Hmm.
the contentment of it not needing to mean anything, that is where I'm at right now. Just that
Yeah.
presence, that willingness to say, if I keep thinking I'm going to do everything to that same standard with everything I try, even when I'm playing, actually, that's very difficult to do because if I'm
Yep.
saying a kind of, it doesn't have to mean anything, it means I'm
Yeah.
probably not going to put the same effort into it as I do most things. But I enjoy that too because I gain so much freedom in my body, in my voice, in my
Hmm.
thoughts, in the way I direct, in the way I think, in the way I talk. And that's when you stop managing the outcome. And that is when you get to your truth. And that is when if you're if you're operating at a level where you're constantly just it's a way of being, your way of doing and what you're putting out is automatically going to be brave. That's what I think.
Yeah. I like that a lot. And I think it really correlates to something that a previous guest a couple of weeks ago, Jay, said. And we were clowning around creativity, and he like makes amazing children's books and draws and does podcasts. And it's just an awesome human being. And one of the things that he said about creativity was that so many of us get so caught up with, but I'm not very good. And it's a lesson from somewhere or a voice from somewhere. And he set me the challenge because I've got a thing about I'm not very good at drawing, so I don't draw because I'm not very good at it. And then I asked him a question and say, how do I get a bit better? And he said, just draw and don't worry about it. And there's just that thing of it's not always about an end outcome. Actually, just sometimes you might just do it because it makes you feel good, which links so well to my next question. It's almost like I thought about it. Whisper it quietly. The producer's going, you haven't really though, Em, have you? And I'm like, yes, I have. How very rude of you. Go away, producer. Andrew. Andrew is now a new character that we've just created.
I was like, who
How do
is the
you...
producer? There isn't a
It's Andrew.
producer.
No, there isn't a producer, but it's Andrew. It's in my head.
Okay, okay, right.
We might meet Andrew at some point. We don't
All
know.
right.
How do you look after you?
I mean, those principles that I just talked about, I think
Yeah.
are really important to me because I recognize that I'm very critical of
Hmm.
self if I have half finished things. If
Right.
I know I was talking to you about this before we started recording, it's this
Hmm.
idea of like I often feel more heavy, more weighty, less happy, more miserable when I'm not meeting the fullness of my potential. And I think all of us feel that way. So how I look after me is making sure that I am doing things for myself outside of what I have to do for fun. I also make sure that I nourish that with the right amount of time it will take.
Nice.
Because if you're not building the time around it and you're rushing things, you're then kind of just in that place of like, get it done. And the getting it done
Right?
is not fun.
No.
So I have to make it, I have to gamify it, I have to make it fun, and I have to be like, okay, in me actually completing the things that I set out to do, I am taking care of the part of me that is evidence building that I can do the hard things.
Mm,
But I've had to learn to really curb the inner critic that wants things done in a way that I have been trained to do things for a majority of my career, my corporate career, and, leaving traditional media and building something new or moving out of, what's been tried, tested, and reinforced for so long and saying, here's the way you got to do it. There is, of course, a part of me that reinforces that at an executive level in what I do. And then the me that's a beginner, that's a player, that's coming in with something new is like we're in constant
mm,
conversation with each other, and actually like we're constantly arguing because we contradict each other a lot. And how I take
mm,
care of me in the middle is by saying, all right, don't be too hard on yourself, but give yourself enough time to do the thing that you're saying you want to do. And good nourishment means enough walks in nature, breath work, good food. Right, these days it's as basic as looking after my digestive system because my gut feeling is what also I need to keep intact to
mm.
keep making those brave choices. So I take care of me and the decisions I make by taking care of my body.
I'm so with you, and I think it's so right, and it is, and it does feel like a brave and rebellious act sometimes to go, no, I'm going to take all the time that this needs in order to do all the other things. So yesterday, like, I'm pretty good at going to the gym, and because I'm in a habit of it, and also it makes me feel better and all of that good stuff. But I also have this discipline where I'm like, but I go in the mornings. And yesterday I couldn't go in the morning, and I made that, and it was quite a brave thing, even though I work for myself. I was like, I'm going to go in the middle of the day. And
Uh,
then rather than just going for a swim, I then was like, you know what? What my body really needs, I need to go and sit in the steam room. So I did for like 15 minutes. I mean, obviously I came out looking like a tomato, but that's a story for another time. But it made me feel so much better. And I thought as I was leaving, I was like, my younger self wouldn't have allowed me to do that brave thing because I would have been like, I'm meant to be working. This is the middle of the day. And all of that narrative and all of those norms. And it's like, yeah, but you're working in the evening. What you all of that stuff I don't know how to go through. And it is, and making that choice of how we look after ourselves, that within itself is a very brave thing. Question number
agree.
9, I believe. What or whom makes you laugh?
You.
I mean, good response. It's always a good thing. I always find, talking, thank you. I'm glad I make you laugh. Anybody else particularly makes you laugh? Anyone else that kind of gets that beautiful thing
Do you
happening for
know
you?
do you know what I laugh at the most? I
Go
laugh
on.
at other people's laughter.
Yeah, it's contagious, right?
It's that thing, and I've always known this, or a baby laughing is
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing that, like, if you get me on, like, if Insta or TikTok or whatever social platform you're on, if the algorithm catches me, dogs and babies doing dumb shit and
Yep.
making me laugh is the
Yep.
thing. It
Yep.
doesn't matter what they're doing. If a baby is cackling, I am
Yeah.
laughing at it. If a
Yeah.
dog is doing something mischievous and chaotic and just damn right naughty, I'm laughing at it. But I love joyful people. I think if I experiencing someone else in their joy makes me feel the joy. Um,
Mm,
and yeah, just like that kind of infectious laughter. I don't even have to laugh at what it is that you've said or that you've done, but if you're laughing because you find it
yeah.
hysterical, I'm probably going to find you hysterical. That's what makes me laugh.
This I love that. I love that. And if you haven't done laughter yoga, you just need to go and do it because
Okay,
it will
I
be the
haven't
best thing
tried
for
it.
you. Yeah, and it's so weird because you do a little bit of laughter yoga sort of stuff in clown stuff, but in clown school, yes, that really is a thing. There's one bit where you just, in essence, kind of lie and you just have your head on. Everybody's got their heads on stomachs, right? Imagine the world of theatre. This is what we do, right? And you just wait, and then eventually somebody just starts to
Uh-huh.
laugh, and then before you know it, everybody's laughing. Not one thing has actually happened that's funny. You're lying on quite an uncomfortable floor. But it's just contagious. So finally,
Explain that to me.
last,
What? No, I know you've got a
go on,
question for that, and I'm so curious.
go on.
What is that? Like, what is the science behind that? Like, why do we do that? You must know this.
I know a little bit about the science. Remember, practitioner, not scientist.
Okay.
Just I always have to make it very clear. So it's the same thing that works when it's about yawning. So it's something to do with the chemicals that have been released when we all have a little laugh. What's coming out is a particular kind of chemical, which then our bodies then pick up on because we know it's going to make us feel better. So in ipso facto, don't know if that's a phrase, but ipso facto, we then all then start to laugh. And I think that's the best definition I could ever give you.
Great. Actually, no, I mean, it was way more scientific than I needed it to be. Thank you.
Yeah, they call me clown scientist. No one does. And then the final question, because the producer's like, all of the people in the audience, they finish their glasses of wine and their teas and coffees, and they're like,
Andrew's like,
you're
get
fascinating.
the fuck on with it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, come on, we've got one more question.
Can I swear? I didn't ask. Should I not swear? I shouldn't.
I mean, you just did. It's fine. It's completely fine. It's called clowning around again. You know, who gives a shit? What have you been thinking about in the last couple of days?
What haven't I been thinking about the last couple of days? I have been thinking a lot about how I share what I know in a way that feels true, in a way that feels like I enjoy doing it, and I'm sharing it in a way that is my signature frequency. Like, I've been thinking a lot about frequencies. It's a really interesting time. I won't get into astrology right now, but it's like I listen to that kind of stuff, and it's kind of, I feel like okay, I have to tell you, the new moon is in Taurus, and what that means is this wounded healer energy is coming up. I was in a sound bath cacao ceremony last night. Of course I was, kind of stuff that I do on a Tuesday night. And I was sat and I was listening, and I was getting a little bit more of a download from the guide about why some of the things I'm thinking about I might be thinking about. And what I'm thinking about a lot at the moment is how and why I have been put here in the place and time that I am in, what my experiences get to mean for other people, and how just by being me, I get to mirror and reflect back to others the thing that I want them to be able to do. And I recognize that sometimes I get caught up in this sense because I'm very competitive and I'm a high achiever. And a lot of us are like, I want to do that thing, and I want to be the only one to do that thing as good as I can do that thing. And then when you realize that the whole point you've been given that gift is to invite others to be able to do that thing too, it's a really special thing, because actually what it does is it sets down your ego, it sets down your need to compete, and it sets down this idea that you have to be amazing at it all the time. As long as you are sparking something or inviting someone else, which is what we're doing on this conversation, to think about something differently, it is not your job to control the journey they then go on and the path that they then take. But there is something really powerful at the moment about being a woman in the world that is standing up for the things that I know that I'm standing up for, and sharing in the way that I'm sharing, and not doing it for just myself. And that is what I'm thinking a lot about. It's felt very Sigma lately, because I've been in isolation and I've been feeling into something, but now it's like, okay, how do I genuinely translate this through story and all the things that I know how to do really well, that helps other people feel seen by me, but not just by me, by the experiences that we all share. And that is what I'm thinking about a lot at the moment. It's taking the very personal, very specific, very individual experience and journey that I've been on in my career, in my life, in my art, in my work, and figuring out how to expand in that space and guide others towards what I have found in that work. That's what I'm thinking a lot about.
I love that answer a lot. And I
Very
particularly
long.
loved it. No, it was perfect. And also I love the fact that when when there was a little bit of fireworks. So if you're watching this on YouTube, there was as it was it was like a celebratory of like, yes, you are doing this work. And here we go. Gotta love the wonders of Apple. Other things are, of course, available. So there we go. The questions have finished. The audience are giving you a massive round of applause. The smoke has gone. All of the chairs have disappeared, and it's just you and I chatting from Clapham Junction to Southampton. And I'm aware that we could talk for hours about bravery and films and everything else like this, but I'm of course aware of your time and of course my listeners' time. But I do have one final question for you before. When you're truly, truly brave, which I believe that you are. It's one of the reasons. So listeners, in case you haven't worked it out, we do actually know each other, which is why we can have these kind of conversations. She's not a stranger to me, lovely people. You are a truly brave individual by the choices that you've made with your art and the choices that you've made in the films that you've made and the way that you're telling your stories and supporting other people.
Thank you.
How do you know within your body that you are truly in that brave moment?
Mm. When nothing around me looks, sounds, or feels like anything I've experienced before, it's because the threshold has moved.
Mm,
And so even if it's small, this, for instance, we haven't had this conversation before. And there have been
mm,
moments in this conversation where I've just been speaking fully from my heart and it's connected. And let's go back about 5 minutes. And I decided to push out some fireworks. But honestly, that happens quite a lot when I'm on Zooms. And it's honestly when I'm fully in that frequency, I'm so in my truth that I believe what I say. And there is a big difference because a lot of us, especially in the world now of storytelling and content creation and filmmaking and writing books and telling the world how they should be and coaching, all these things that we do, right? Do you believe you every time that you say something? Do you believe you every time you create something? You're in a conversation, you're saying something to somebody else. Are you saying it because you think it's the right thing to say to them? Or are you saying it because you absolutely behold that belief? And even if it's not the right thing to say, I will say it because it is what I believe. And
mm,
I think so often we try to be likable, we try to be right more than we are truthful. And we will avoid saying the thing that actually is the very thing that needs to be said in that moment to get to a different threshold within your own experience, in your own being, in your own life. So that's how I know. Like I feel it in my body, I feel it in my gut, right? And that clarity is really important for me, which is why taking care of my body, taking care of my vessel is really important to me because the gut brain, the heart and the rest of the body, like you got to move from your body. It's got to be an embodied truth. It can't just be intellectual. And I've learned that over the last 7 years of deeper practice of operating at a very intellectual level as a journalist, as a producer, as a storyteller in corporate and platforms. And it was great because I was very analytical and I was looking for the truth in the arguments. I was looking for the balance in, what was being discussed. And that was great. When I started to really lean into, well, what do I believe? What do I think? What do I feel is the right thing to do? What do I think is in alignment with my humanity? And how I would like the world to be around me. And the truth is, you have to be prepared to become that version of the people around you that you wish would change, or that you would wish to become something that you would find your euphoria, whatever that is, right? And I think that when I stand in my bravery, I may not be able to change everything around me all the time, but I can at least testify to the fact that I am believable to myself.
mm.
I'm believable to myself. And this is not an act and it's not a performance. The way I am talking to you is the way that I wake up talking to my dog, to my postman, to my, like, if you are consistent in who you are being, that is also an act of bravery. So that's how
I
I know.
love it.
And I'm not always like that. There are times where I have to call myself out and be like, you really didn't honor your truth in that moment. You said the thing that you knew they needed to hear. And listen, there are times and places for that, that we need to do that in order to get us into the next space where we can make the bigger impact. We can have the biggest influence. But we've also got to be willing to hold a mirror up to ourselves every now and again and say, is that really me or is that who I think I need to be in this moment? Because
Mm,
if I carry on being that version of me, I can only perform that for a certain amount of time. And I'll end up back to where I started, which was burning out from that. So the other thing I feel like is coming to me a lot is like I could build something that is rooted in and based on what is performing and what is succeeding and what is doing well, but that will be temporary. And I will only go so far for so long. And I've done that in my career and I continue to do that. You show up in sometimes for me, I have a portfolio career. I'm building my own platform, but I'm also very much involved in the industry. And that's beautiful because I know exactly what my role needs to be there. I am performing a role. It's called a role for a reason. That's your role. That is not who you are. You need another space where you get to play, create, be yourself, transcend the boundaries that you'd put around who you thought you needed to be successful out there. And in what I'm building, what I'm creating as a storyteller, as a creative, as a coach, as a filmmaker, just as a woman that wants to guide people to being their whatever their version is, but the most brave version of that, the most creative version of that. It's so much nicer to be able to do that on my own terms than feel like I have to do it in the way that everyone else is doing it. And when you have proven that method to yourself, what's anyone going to say to me? Like,
Yeah, I love
I felt
that.
good saying that.
It was delicious to hear it. So, how do people find you online? Where can they go? How can they hear from more from you? Where should they go?
Well, if you would like to listen to this document or watch the documentary or the film that I've recently made that Em has been beautifully teasing throughout the podcast, it's called Saving Mum, Our Family Secret, and it's currently on Channel 4's YouTube and Channel 4 OD. You can go and watch it there. I love that we haven't talked any about it at all. So if you want to know where all this bravery comes from, please go watch my documentary. And you can also find me on Instagram at Maleena Pone. You can find me on LinkedIn at Maleena Pone. And I am at the end of this month starting a new YouTube and Substack called Storytell-Her Time with Maleena, which is kind of a extension of the studio that I've built, which is all around, truth telling and telling the story that you're here to tell.
Beautiful, beautiful. And no doubt all of those things will be on the notes because that's what my team
There's a
do.
lot
So
of notes.
there's a lot of notes. There's a lot of notes, but honestly, I can't recommend it enough to watch her film and, and give her a follow. And especially, she writes a really beautiful newsletter. I'm saying that while you're still here. Because your newsletter is one of the very few that I actually read. And it's not just because I care about you, it's because it's actually really beautifully crafted. And so, yes, make sure that you get hold and do that. I knew it was going to be a joy talking to you about bravery. And obviously, I feel very proud that I know you. And I am so grateful that you've come on Clowning Around again with me, Stroud. Thank you so much, lovely soul, for chatting about
Thank
bravery. I massively
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you,
How awesome is she? I can't begin to tell you how grateful I am that she took the time to come on the pod. So I consciously decided not to specifically ask her too much about Saving Mum, her film, which, as she said, is on Channel 4, because I think you should watch it. And the thing is that I know, as somebody who's about to go up to Edinburgh Festival, to actually get something out in the world and to be at a certain level to have that sort of opportunity. And she's not only had the opportunity, she's made her first full-length film with Channel 4, which is amazing. But she's so much more than just one film, which is why I didn't want to talk just about that film, although it's brilliant and do go and watch it. And I think the thing about bravery, which is why I wanted to talk about bravery rather than filmmaking or, any of the other things I could have done writing or coaching with her, is that bravery is underpinning all of the different things that she's doing. And actually, I think during that whole conversation, the thing that really landed with me is that bravery underpins everything that all of us can do. And we can choose each day to be brave, or we can choose each day to not be brave. And I just wonder for you, how has this landed? Is there something that if you let yourself be brave, you want to go and do? And like I said, this is not about, being brave to create your own business, being brave to make your own film. It's not about that specifically. Now, that might be your path. And if that is your path, then cool, carry on. But for me, it's about having that bravery to choose you. And it's funny, isn't it, that she said the bravery of the mirror. And it's something that I really deeply am thinking about myself at the moment as well. It's like, where and how do I hold up the mirror to myself? And am I doing it in the right way? And am I making the brave calls all the time? Or am I shying away from certain opportunities? Or am I shying away from doing certain things, which are the brave things, which are the different things that I haven't done before? Because if I want things to change, therefore I have to change myself. And that is uncomfortable. But in that uncomfortability, that's where the bravery is. And tiny incremental things, tiny incremental moments of bravery do have an impact. Like, it's brave, like I say, to spend 15 minutes sitting in the steam room rather than just thinking I've got to crack on. It's brave to take some time to rest because I'm actually tired. It's brave to look at what I'm choosing to eat because I need to fuel myself in a different way because I'm moving into my next chapter of my life. It's brave to have different and difficult conversations with people. All of these things. It's brave to look at your finances and look at them in a different and a clear way. And all of these things that I'm saying are what the things that I'm doing right now, which I think are quite brave for me. So I hope that this conversation just gives you that beat for you to think about what would be brave for you and what does that feel like. Let me know. I love hearing from all of you. I love hearing how people have landed with you. If you want to have guests on again, do let me know, because this is our podcast, right? So there we go. There's another episode clowning around again with me, Em Stroud. Do make sure you laugh, think, and play this week, because you know it'll help you feel better. Thanks for listening. Take good care. We'll chat next week.